Live from the Talking Joe studios, it's Talking Joe.
Talking Joe is on the air.
Hey, Mark here, and welcome to the third Talking Joe Jingle special. The last one we had was right at the end of the Chief era in February 2021, so this covers a good chunk of time. The Tim Finn and Mark era, I would say. So we opened up with the current jingle, which uses the C64, Commodore 64 game music that was released by Epix back in 1985. And the music continued in that jingle with the little bed at the end, which was Going Out of My Head, which is by British big beat musician Fatboy Slim. It was released as a double A single with Michael Jackson, and from his album Better Living Through Chemistry. It contains prominent samples from Yvonne Elliman's I Can't Explain and Led Zeppelin's The Crunge. I like the fact that we've got a bit of continuity in presenters in that jingle as well. So it opens up with Chief and also has a little bit of dialogue there from Ben, the other co-founder of the Talking Joe podcast.
Live from the Talking Joe studios, it's Talking Joe.
Talking Joe weekly podcast. Talking Joe is there. Talking Joe thought we would last. Talking Joe is there. Find each other like a married couple. Our podcast on the air. Talking Joe is there.
Talking Joe is the code name for a completely untrained special podcast force. Its purpose, to produce a regular comic review show while breaking and replacing a series of presenters from across the world.
Talking Joe. Talking Joe is there. Talking Joe. We are on our soapbox. Nobody seems to care. Fighting for fandom wherever there's trouble. The podcast on the air. Talking Joe is there. Talking Joe. Talking Joe.
Talking Joe is on the air.
And that was the other Talking Joe opening jingle that stood us in good stead for quite a few episodes until we switched over to the C64 jingle that you heard first. Whoa, Nelly. Who's the co-presenter on the show today? We'll find out in just a minute. It's a beautiful day to have a guest. Time to talk to one of the best. Is he broken? Can he be broken? We've had Ben, Chris and S-Job too. A few episodes in, away they flew. Broken. Oh, so broken. We've always wanted to have a guest just like you. Like the Queen will ask, and what do you do? So let's make the most of this communique. Sorry to say, it is for no pay. Hope he's good, but not too good. This I command, Serpentor. Come on, guys, eat mince pies. Let's meet the co-presenter. So that Mr. Rogers' Neighbourhood inspired jingle only got played probably once or twice. I think I developed it in part thinking that we'll probably have a few more co-presenters than we actually did. So I think this might just have been used the first time that Tim Finn appeared on the show.
We'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there.
Everywhere you go, always take the weather, the weather.
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe is there. The weather, the weather.
G.I. Joe.
So that was a mashup of the G.I. Joe theme tune from the cartoon and Weather With You by the band Crowded House, whose frontman is called Tim Finn. So that was something that I put together for one of Tim's early appearances with big thanks to Showbiz Danny Lawrence for his support with that one.
Tim Finn weighs in.
Another little jingle just used once, where we had some pre-recorded segments from Tim, which were introduced with the Tim Finn weighs in. Na 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 na.
Here come the nitpicker,
Timmy Finn,
analytical prankster,
Timmy Finn,
picking holes in your colouring,
Timmy Finn,
still love G.I. Joe.
Timmy Finn.
No, he won't lie. Yes, he testify. Anyone can see there's some criticism. Anything that he don't know ain't a thing that's worth to know. Pull him back and let him go. Criticism, here come the nitpicker,
Timmy Finn,
analytical prankster,
Timmy Finn,
picking holes in your colouring,
Timmy Finn,
still love G.I. Joe.
Timmy Finn. Tim's nitpicking jingle there in its full glory. And on occasion, Tim has actually made his own jingle on the fly in the podcast. Again, on occasion, I've added some post-production to it to punch it up a little bit more.
Tim doesn't like it. Someone is talking. Dialogue's clunky. The words are bad.
Now, many of the last few episodes have been covering the Devil's Due era of G.I. Joe, and with that they came with some of their own jingles. So most of them were introduced with this one.
We're gonna talk about comics from Devil's Due. It's something you wondered if Talking Joe would ever do. I guess we'll explain it all to you. Gonna take some time to read the books we've never read. Oh.
Now, in the first few episodes, to introduce us to the Devil's Due era, I came up with a little quiz to test Jay and Tim on their Devil's Due knowledge. That quiz was called Devil's True or Devil's Pooh.
Devil's true, or poo, poo, poo is all I want to know right now. True, or poo, poo, poo. Let's find out the answers right now.
Now, as part of our ongoing Devil's Due look back, we got onto the Frontline series, and so that also had its own jingle. The jingle was, of course, inspired by the magnificent Brimful of Asher by Corner Shop.
Frontline.
They're stalking behind comic scenes, behind the comic scenes. Mark, Jay and Tim, it's the spin-off that has survived. There's no yawning to find the meaning. Is it good, is it shite? G.I. Joe, Frontline on Talking Joe. Well, G.I. Joe, Frontline on Talking Joe. G.I. Joe, Frontline on Talking Joe. Well, G.I. Joe, Frontline on Talking Joe.
Now, as well as just general nitpicking, we found that Tim was complaining about the colours in the G.I. Joe comics from Devil's Due so much that felt that we had to actually make a jingle just for it.
We see Devil's Due colours distracting you. I see devil's due colours, light sources don't seem true, so Tim's not afraid to let them know. Devil's due colours are awful, like bad guano.
Devil's Due colours there. My own lyrics massacring the original True colours so bad that my brother got in contact with me and said that it made his ears bleed and I should definitely not use it again without it being re-recorded. I did not re-record it. Another jingle from the Devil's Due era was this one. It was that you are the editor. The idea behind this particular jingle and segment was that we would, towards the end of the episode, we would put ourselves in the shoes of the Devil's Due editor and think about if we were to change just one small thing to improve the book, what would it be? I think we only used this segment and this jingle once. I felt that maybe it was just duplicating other things that we were incorporating into our general discussion. But I quite like the editor. I quite like the idea. I quite like the jingle. Here it is.
Talking Joe is editing. What changes will we think? Rearrange all sorts of things like covers. The script is in the air, correcting everywhere, wielding the red pen of change. Devil's Due, our moment to comment, make it right, where we can make the book our way. We're wielding change, we're editing.
Ooh, listening back to that, I remember how sore my throat was after singing that. And trying to get the dusky tones just right. Yeah, the gravelly tones. There we go. So we had a few other things that were introduced in the Devil's Due shows. One of the most important things, of course, was co-presenter Jay. And towards the end of the shows, Jay would talk about a prominent figure or toy that had been introduced or played a big role in that particular issue. In the segment, Jay Talks Toys.
Jay is here with a toy no fear. Talking G.I. Joe collectibles. It's a favourite figure. Let's pull the trigger. 3 3/4 inch or bigger. Jay.
Now, in this era as well, we also changed a tack and put a little bit more focus on having a big look at the covers of the book in a segment I like to call The Gallery.
Let's have a look at the covers in the gallery.
So, The Gallery there, a little favourite of mine. The words, of course, they're the introduction, are from my boy Thomas. The music itself, it will be familiar to many UK listeners from my generation, but probably less well known by those in other countries. So it's from Take Heart. So Take Heart was a British children's television programme about art presented by Tony Hart, which took over from a previous show called Vision On. It ran from 1977 until 1983. program was quite famous for featuring Tony Hart doing sort of art, sort of demonstrations for children, but also introduced the plasticine character Morph, which was created by Aardman Animation. Now, a regular feature on that program was The Gallery. It was a segment which displayed artwork sent in by young viewers, and the easy listening vibraphone music which accompanied the feature was called Left Bank 2. It was composed by Wayne Hill and was performed by the Novel Tones, a group of session musicians from the Netherlands, which was nice. Pop fact, the music to The Gallery was switched over later on in the series to John Williams' Cavatina, the theme from The Deer Hunter. Next up, it's Innuenjoe, the segment where I had to make my co-host laugh purely by listing out some names of G.I. Joe characters, vehicles, and concepts.
This is how the story goes. Attention. At this moment, you are now listening to
Talking Innuenjoe.
If you are offended by words like
Sucking, flesh wound. Willy, Pete. Balls, crystal balls. Hypno shield.
whatever, take the tape out now. This is not a pop album. And by the way, suck my
Grandmother's brick in a Prada handbag. So the origins behind this jingle are actually a bit funny. So the lyrics there are largely from Warning by Ice-T, taken from his LP Home Invasion from 1993. So it's an intro to the album rather than an actual song, and contains a lot of bad language, which I have voiced over, and was inspired by an introduction that comedians Stuart Lee and Richard Herring had on their Radio 1 series, Fist of Fun. The music itself was by Jean-Jacques Perry, EVA, which I know best as being the music that Ice-T sampled on another of his songs, The Lane. The Lane EVA mix, it's often known as.
Squiduenjoe.
G.I. Joe, Cobra, general knowledge.
So once I'd run out of in G.I. Joe innuendos, I came up with another quiz called Squiduenjoe, which was basically me manipulating the words innuenjoe and squid into its own thing. Initially, the questions were just about water-based G.I. Joes, but then became its own quiz segment that we used in our anniversary podcast, episode 150. So yeah, really, it was just trying to tap into my enthusiasm for Squid Game that had not long been out. And if people got the question right, they got a
Green light.
and if they got a question wrong, then they would get this.
Red light.
But of course, the focus still of the podcast is all about talking about comics. So we kept on with the comic talk, which I continue to use on most of the regular episodes. It depends on the gap between our initial introduction and when we actually start getting into the detail of comics, whether I break it up with this jingle or not, to be honest. And it's pretty much the same jingle that I used with Chief. And here's a background secret. Basically, all I did is replace Chief's name with Tim's name. Sorry.
Comic talk, oh, comic talk. Larry Hama writes them, Tim and Mark discuss them, whoa. Comic talk, oh, comic talk. Larry Hama writes them, Tim and Mark discuss them, whoa.
Now, when we have special guests on the show, particularly for a sketchbook show, I like to try and make a short jingle to introduce them. And when Brandon Jerwa was going to come onto the show, he asked me if I could make him a jingle. And so I did, and it had to be the most epic jingle ever.
Who is this man? Who is this legend? Who is this myth? Who is Brandon Joe?
Comic writer, bourgeoisie, born in 1973. Brandon Jerwa. Funko Pop manatee, born in 1973. Brandon Jerwa. Come on, Brandon, you can do it. Pave the way, put your back into it. Tell us why, show us how. Look at you where you come from, look at you now. Hammer, Casey, and Blaylock. Amateurs can go suck a cock. Write those books, dig a ditch. Come on, Brandon, get 'em. Have you ever seen a stripping gorilla? Have you ever seen Sprocket Man, the hero? Morning radio DJ, born in 1973. Brandon Jerwa. Stalker of Dan Jolly, born in 1973. Brandon Jerwa. Come on, Brandon, you can do it. There can only be one, you can prove it. Tell us why, show us how. It's happened before, it'll happen again. Wraith and chuckles and red shadows, created in polyphonic prose. Write those books, sing a song, type a viper, get 'em. Have you ever seen a Dragonski look-alike?
And we've had plenty of other jingles for guests as well. More modest than that one, I'd say. But let's start off with author of a real American book, A Real American, Tim.
Take a little trip to read some comics today. On Disavowed, we're joined by Jay. I really want to talk Joe with you. It's a real American Tim.
American Boy was the song being sampled there, of course, by Estelle and Kanye West. Next up, when we had Bart Simon on one of the award shows, I kept things simple and, had to go with the Bartman.
Everybody back and forth from side to side. Do the Bartman. Do the Bartman. Wow, man.
When Billy Penn joined us on an episode, I made him his very own jingle as well. And somehow I roped in Mrs. Mark to join me in on the vocals. Only one out of two that she's ever done, the other one being Error Detected.
Yoo-hoo! I'll make you famous.
Billy Penn is on our show. He's just a guy who draws G.I. Joe.
The next one is for my pal and Talking Joe co-founder. It's Chief Stride, Chief Doggy Dog, a jingle that I meant to make for a long time, but only got around to it when he joined us for a sketchbook show quite a way after he had jumped overboard. Good ship, Talking Joe.
Chief Doggy Dog. 2 shoes. Chief Doggy Dog. 8 pairs. Chief Doggy Dog. Rubber nipples.
That's right, rubber nipples. Next up is the jingle made for Gene Park when he joined us to show us his original art for issue 21 of G.I. Joe Silent Interlude. This features me doing my level best to channel Phil Daniels with his vocals from Blur's Park Life. podcast is the preference for the habitual collector in what is known as Gene Park's Life. One of our first guests onto the Sketchbook show and one of the first people to get his own jingle was Jon Thurmond, fast friend of the show.
Jon Thurmond is coming on the show today with Best Be Behaved.
Best Be Behaved was prompted by the fact that Jon works in HR, so, best behaviour. And Jon brought on his next appearance, he brought with him his friend Shane Simeck. Shane Simeck to share his collection with us.
Shane Simeck, who got the Joes in your sketchbook? How many? That's super.
Actually, talking about credits as well, the Shane Simeck jingle was Who Got the Key to My Bimmer? It was Who Am I? Beat by Beanie Man. And the other song for Jon Thurmond was using Snow Informer. Licky boom boom down.
Gee, Mark, what are we gonna do today?
The same thing we do every day, Mark. Make jingles for our new guests.
It's Paddy and Brian. Yes, Paddy and Brian. One is a writer, the other is trying to take some photographs for Kickstarter bucks. It's Paddy and Brian.
That one, of course, made for Paddy and Brian, the guys behind the Total Action Force Kickstarters, plural now. That, of course, uses Pinky and the Brain as featured on Animaniacs, my friend. So next up, when Paul Ference joined us to show us some of his art collection, I had to come up with a jingle, of course, and somehow, I'm not quite sure how, I was inspired to use Tattoo, All the Things She Said. One of those songs that was massive at the time, but not really played too much later. Anyway, here it is.
Paul Ference is here, 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 Paul Ference is here.
Now, Stephen Jubber was a former co-host on the show and did many episodes with Chief and has joined us a few times since as well. But shock horror, Chief never made him his own jingle, whereas I did.
S-Joe. There ain't no party like an S-Joe party. Everybody talking Joe. S-Joe. Shake a toy from side to side.
Shake that toy from side to side. Now, when research specialist Diana Davis joined us on the show, she got her own jingle, which is much a jingle for Diana as it is an ode to her number one crush, the first sergeant of the G.I. Joes, known as Duke.
Just a G.I. Joe fan, after only one man. It's the Joe First Sergeant Duke. Thank you, man.
Dukes of Hazzard, get it? Anyway, next up, it is the jingle I made for G.I. Joe art collector Chuck Costas, who, when he joined us, had this jingle, which was inspired by the song Disco Duck by Rick Dees and his cast of idiots.
This guy Chuck. This guy Chuck. We're in luck. He's no schmuck. It's this guy Chuck.
We're in luck. He's no schmuck. It's this guy, Chuck. Now, Chuck, like others, came onto the Sketchbook special shows where we had live streams on YouTube and shared some original art from our collections. And the theme tune to the segment was this, inspired by a Tom Jones classic.
Sketchbook, sketchbook, here's my sketchbook. I can show it to you if you wanna have a look. Sketchbook, sketchbook, here's my sketchbook. And now I will stop his song.
Talking Joe presents G.I. Joe Origins.
I'm on a new level. I'm on a new level.
It was a time when Mark decided to do G.I. Joe Origins style movie trailers.
And this was the bed that we used for that little item. I'd like to keep on doing a few more because I do like the concept. It was born out of a segment that I did with a chap I used to work with called Tom Davis when we worked on Expression FM, the Exeter University radio station, student radio station. And there I had a segment called Smack My Pitch Up, where I would give Tom a movie title, and he had the course of a couple of records to come up with a movie style trailer, kind of repurposing that particular movie title. My favourite was Bridget Jones, where he came up with the idea of a person who was very good at laying bridges, and so got the nickname Bridget. There we go. Of course, Yellow there, the fantastic tune that goes in the background and reminds me very much of 80s style movie trailers.
Yo, cola, not grape soda.
Yo, Cola, it's the time to give comics the rank. They poo are fine. 0 to 10, that's the score. Had enough or hungry for more? The Joes can open their fizzy pop, but you know us, we can't stop. It's Yo Joeage time.
So the Yo Joe Cola ranking of a particular issue, which has tended to be towards the back end of any given episode, didn't have a jingle for ages. It's been there since almost episode 1, but has never had a jingle until very recently when I decided I had to create one. I couldn't let this mission stand any longer. I was inspired by listening to some music that the kids were playing. Getting down with the kids. It's this backing track is Lena Rain, Pig Step it's called, and it's music that is taken from a disc that is in Minecraft, Minecraft in-game music, and I'd only know about that because of those pesky kids.
Pop Comics,
Your local comic store.
Pop Comics,
in Boston to explore.
Pop Comics, your local comic store. Pop Comics, comics and much more.
Hub Comics in Somerville near Boston. Check out hubcomics.com for details.
Pop Comics.
A jingle there for Tim's comic book shop, Hub Comics in Boston to explore. This next one is a relatively new, relatively simple jingle. We noticed that in the Devil's Due episodes, we kept on referring to new toys that were just introduced and appearing in the comic books. So I decided it'd be fun to have a little simple something to to signify that, and I used a little bit of dialogue from Toy Story 3, where the toys enter the nursery for the first time.
New toys!
And here's a relatively new jingle. It's sheer pathetic news. A combination of pathé news, a clip of Beachhead going sheer pathetic, an explosion, a little click of a detonator, and even a cockerel squawking. So yeah, all created to have our very own news segment, and in true Talking Joe style, only used once to date, but who knows.
Pathetic.
Warning team, as the sands of time descend, temporal disruption has set in, and it is here that we must leave, Mark. Remain patient until we return in a year, maybe, for Jingle Medley number 4, if I've bothered to write loads of more jingles by then, which, given the amount of time that's involved, seems pretty unlikely at this stage. But anyway, like, for example, this is a pastiche of Nightmare, which is a British children's adventure game show which was broadcast over 8 series from children's ITV from 1987 to 1994. But despite using this ending several times for an episode, not a single person has pointed out to me that they got the reference and enjoyed it. I did it several times afterwards, anyway. I'm doing it right now, but, well, never mind. See you next time, and join us if you dare.
Now, I appreciate this bonus jingle episode was particularly self-indulgent, so if you have reached all the way to the very end, congratulations and well done, and I hope you got some enjoyment out of it. If you did, I would be delighted to hear from you, so shoot a message via one of the normal forums. So you can reach us on talkingjoe.co.uk, which has links to all of those places. The website again, talkingjoe.co.uk. It's got the link to the Facebook group, Instagram, Twitter, even a contact us box that's got the email address and also an ability to leave a voice note. So hope to hear from you if you did enjoy it. If you didn't enjoy it, then obviously you can keep that to yourself. Thank you. Bye.